So I just recorded this interview yesterday together with Ella, and you're going to learn how to design a collection, what to look out for, what are the trends and what are the secrets in fashion design. And specifically, if you're a swimwear or a lingerie brand, this is going to be super valuable because Ella has over 10 years of experience in the fashion industry. She's worked for brands like H&M, Other Stories, Riot Swim, Next, Hoka, and she's built over a dozen of swimwear and lingerie collections herself. And now she's also teaching other fashion designers how to start their own freelance business. So we're going to touch on fashion design, how to design your collection, how to launch it, and some of the trends there, but also how you can hire your first fashion designer, what to look out for, what to pay them, and all of that. And if you're looking for one, obviously she's the person to reach out to. Now, I've had the pleasure of meeting Ella in person in Paris last month. We were at a mastermind, and coincidentally, we were in the same industry. So it made sense to do this interview. And I'm super excited to share it with you guys because it's value packed, and I got a lot of my own questions asked and answered as well. So without further ado, let's get into this interview. Welcome, Ella, on the YouTube channel and the Brand Accelerator.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yep, I wanted to start out just with a little bit of your background story and how you got where you are today, and for everybody who doesn't know at all what you're doing. So let's start with that.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm Ella. I'm a swimwear and lingerie designer, and I'm a fashion freelance coach. So I run two businesses, but my real passion is within design. And I am currently running a freelance business where I help startup brands and existing established brands to build cohesive collections. And yeah, I really help them with every step of the way from the initial design stage right up until production.
Awesome,
So
awesome.
yeah.
And how did you get started? What is like the trajectory that you've taken to yeah, become where you are right now, teaching all these people about fashion as well?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I guess it goes way back to yeah, when I was growing up, I was really, really passionate about fashion and art and design. And I wanted to be in the fashion industry, but I didn't want to just be an everyday designer. I wanted to find something that would make me stand out from the crowd. And I wanted to make sure that I was going to be firstly employable, and also, yeah, have skill sets which are going to make me stand out. So that kind of brought me to where I started specializing in swimwear and lingerie. I actually found a degree, which is actually one of the only degrees in the world that only does fashion design for swimwear and lingerie. It's based in Leicester in the UK, and it's called De Montfort University, and it's called Contour Fashion. The degree is called Contour Fashion. So I ended up going and doing that degree, which really led me into the swimwear and lingerie world, which was, yeah, pretty amazing journey. And it meant that after I graduated, that I kind of straight away stepped into the swimwear and lingerie industry with a lot of skills behind me, which was amazing. And I ended up getting a job in Australia, working for a swimwear brand there, which was a great way to get started and really put all my skills to practice. And I also ended up moving back to the UK, where I got a job with Next, where I was a designer for their lingerie and their swimwear. And then I ended up working for H&M, where I worked as a swimwear and lingerie designer for And Other Stories, if you know that brand.
I didn't know you were part of that as well.
Yeah, so I had a lot of experience in industry, and it was such a great journey, but also it did have its challenges at time. You know, the fashion industry is a very fast-paced, stressful environment. It can be quite competitive. There was a lot of hoop jumping to get to the next promotion. It was always quite a difficult journey. So I decided one day, I was like, do you know what? I'm going to start my own business and see how it goes and start selling my design skills. I was completely lost when I started. I didn't know where to start, but over time, I built up my clientele and started working with a lot of different brands, from very small startup brands to more established brands in the swimwear and lingerie industry, which was a really great experience. Like I, yeah, I really found a way to be successful as a freelancer. You know, how to find clients, how to set my prices, how to build a portfolio which is going to be desirable for the clients, and yeah, learning all the skills that I needed to build a successful business, which took off. It took off really, really quickly, and I had a lot of interest and a lot of people reaching out to me who wanted to work with me. So it was definitely a big success. And yeah, within the first year of freelancing, I was already like fully booked. So yeah, and then it was
Amazing.
yeah, it was amazing, and I managed to yeah, to get to a point where I was actually um enjoying my life so much more than when I was actually working in a 9 to 5 job, and it gave
Mm.
me so much freedom. And I had actually some spare time, so I started working on a coaching business as well. So I started teaching the skills that I'd learned within my own fashion freelance business to other freelancers, which was very, very rewarding, and great to be able to share the things that I'd learned and all the mistakes that I made to other freelancers who were starting their freelance business, or maybe they were freelancing for a while and just needed some help and direction. So yeah, that's kind of brought me to where I am today, where I have my design business, where I work with brands to help them to establish collections and build collections. And then I also have my coaching business where I work closely with a lot of fashion freelancers.
Yeah, that is perfectly said. And I'm so excited for this interview. I got a bunch of questions prepared for like both things. But what I'm most excited about is that we met by coincidence
Yeah.
uh, in this mastermind in Paris. And the interesting thing is, most of my audience and most of the brands that I work with ecom growth, they are swimwear and lingerie brands. So
Wow.
uh,
That
yeah,
is
I'm
a
very
coincidence. I feel like our paths crossed by fate or something. Like we
excited.
were supposed to meet at that event.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So this will be super, super relevant, and I'm very curious myself to learn a little bit about the secrets that are in your mind. So I want to touch on a little bit on like you as a fashion designer and the process that you go through. Um, and then later on, we can touch on a little bit about hiring designers because obviously you train a lot of them. And maybe also it would be interesting to share a little bit on how to be effective as a designer and vice
Definitely.
versa.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah. So
absolutely. Go ahead.
first thing I'm curious about, just overall bird's eye view over the process of fashion design for swimwear and lingerie. What goes into the process? What is the time frame? Um, from anywhere from mood boarding, from idea to fabrics and finishing off. Um, Touch
Yeah,
on that.
definitely. I feel like that question is kind of like how long's a piece of string, because I think every collection is different. Every client that I work with is at a slightly different stage. So it really depends on where you are right now. But I would say if you're a startup brand and you're really starting from scratch, I always say give it a year, even more if possible, because to build a really successful, well-fitting, beautiful collection takes a lot of time. And you know, it sounds like a long time a year, but it really isn't when you want to put in all the stages that you need. So everything from design to, as you said, like fabric selection, finding a manufacturer that's going to be able to yeah, create a beautiful collection for you, and to, you know, make sure that they have the capacity, make sure they have the right machinery, make sure they have the right MOQ for you. That takes a lot of time. And then also you need to give time for the sample production. So the sampling, which usually you need to have 3 to 4 sample rounds, which can take a month or two just for one sample round. So, and obviously there's always going to be delays and things that get in the way, and things like things always come up. So it's always good to give yourself a year. But then it might be different if you're a more established brand, if you already have connections with a factory, if you have done the process before, that usually speeds up the process.
Yeah,
So yeah, maybe I can go into more of like the breakdown of the stages. Would that be helpful?
sure. And just to touch on that,
Yeah,
I think
sure.
that's very interesting that you say that, because probably a lot of people starting their brands, um, they think 1 or 2 months and we got the collection up, and then it fails because it's probably really not good, if they figure out themselves the hard way that it actually takes a lot more time. Um,
Definitely. Yeah. And I feel
yeah.
like a lot of people that I work with, especially the startups, they almost feel like the disappointment when they find this out, and they feel like if it doesn't happen quickly, then they almost feel like they're failing in some ways or feeling super
Mm,
frustrated. But it's totally normal for it to take time. And I think especially if you're doing it correctly and you're following the steps that's needed to create a really flawless collection, or pieces, it will take time, and you just need to be patient with it, and yeah, make sure that you give yourself that time. So, I have people coming to me, I have people reaching out to me, and they say, oh, I want to launch this summer, for example. We're already in the spring, and I'm just like, no, let's do next summer, and then you're going to have plenty of time. And they almost feel disappointed when I tell them that.
yeah.
But it's impossible to do it just in a few months, and if you do it in 3 months, it's probably not going to be a very high standard, and it might not be exactly as you wanted it to be or as you envisioned it.
Okay. What about a brand that, let's say, they already launched a couple of collections, but maybe the last time they launched one was like last year, but they're still like grooving off, just restocking. Maybe they're doing anywhere from 100,000 to 500,000 a month in sales. What would be the process, if you were to join a brand like that as a designer? What would be the process that you would look at? Okay, these are the steps that we got to take and the timeframes, um, given the resources that you
Yeah.
have.
So yeah, if I was working with someone who already has a factory, my priority would be to sit down with them and work out exactly where they are right now. So how their collection's selling, how is it performing in the past, how's their customer reacting to the products that they have existing, and then from that I would come up with a strategy of like what we should be designing, what we should be selling, judging on what's already working. And yeah, I would say like for them, it would probably take me a couple of weeks to come up with the design development. So that would be like the initial concept for the collection, the color palette, the fabric proposal, and maybe some initial sketches. And then I would come together with my client and we would go over those ideas. Also, I would ask them to, contribute in any way possible if they have any ideas that they want to bring to the table, if they have any inspiration images or anything like that. And yeah, so it's really both of us putting in a lot of effort into their stage, and I work very closely with my client to make sure that what I'm producing is going to be exactly what they want. And then after that point, then I would finalize the collection once they're happy with everything. So that would be very detailed CAD drawings, which are like computer aided designs, which have every single thing from all the colors, the fabric information, the stitches, all the components which are going to be in the garment, front and back views, sometimes even inside views if it's very technical. And also I would show that on the body as well. So I would do drawings of how they appear on the body. So that would give them a really good idea of how the collection is going to look as a whole, and make sure that they're very happy with the garments before we go to the production stage. And then after that point is the most important step, and that is the tech pack. So this is basically a blueprint for the garment. Every garment has an individual tech pack, and it's basically a breakdown of every single thing that the factory is going to need to be able to create a flawless garment. And I always go with the more information, the better, because if you give the factory room to make decisions, they might not do what you want them to do.
Mm,
It might end up completely different. You can't just predict that they're going to read your tech pack the way that you see it in your mind. You really need to put every single thing on paper. So I do very, very detailed tech packs. This has the color information, the fabric information, the components that are needed. So, for example, for a bra, you would have the hook and eye, the rings and sliders, maybe some padding, You would have all the lace, all the trims, the elastic, all that information would be on there. And then also it would be a super clear breakdown of the construction. So what stitches they need to use, how they should sew it, how it should sit on the body, what the fit should be. And it would also have the measurements for each style. So, and often it would have the grading as well. So all the sizes and all the measurements of the sizes. This would also have like the label information, any prints or any extras that you need to have in the design, that will be on there as well. And then once the tech pack's ready, that's when it would get sent to the factory, and then the factory would do the first sample. And then once we get the first sample, we would do a fitting together. So that would be fitting the garment on a model and seeing how it looks, seeing what needs changing, what feedback we need to give to the factory. And if you have a very detailed tech pack, hopefully the first sample would be a really good first sample and there won't be too many changes. So that's why a tech pack is so important, because it's going to save you time, it's going to save you money, and it's just going to mean that the process goes a lot faster, even though tech packs are investment.
Wow, that is super valuable. So you say there is like the concept, the mood boarding, and the drawings. You take that, turn it into the tech pack, and then the tech pack, you want to have it as detailed as possible. And from there it goes to sampling, prototyping, and optimizing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And what is what would what is like average cost and time frame for this type of period? I'm just personally curious as well.
Yeah. So I mean, again, very, very hard to put a specific number on this. But if you work with someone like me, who's going to take you through the whole process, who's going to be giving you that guidance and that expert support, this could range from maybe, it depends on the size of the collection, but could range from like 3,000 to 5,000 for that whole process, maybe more, depending on how big the collection is. Yeah, obviously the complexity of the style, that can also have an input on, because if the tech packs are going to be more complex, then the price is probably going to be a bit higher. But you're really needing to invest like a few thousand into doing this process. But it's definitely worth it in the long run, because you're going to have that expert support and that guidance, and you're also going to be saving yourself so much money on sampling, and yeah, just so much frustration, stress, and headache, because I think I've definitely had it before when I've worked with my clients. They've maybe tried to do it on their own before coming to me, sending a sketch or sending an image to the factory, and they're always disappointed with the results because they just aren't giving them enough information. And also they're not going to get a unique design as well. If you work with a designer, you're going to get something unique, original, something that's really tailored to your brand and your customer.
Got it. Okay, so I see like two common mistakes made. This is underestimating the time frame that it takes, and then the second thing is not going as detailed as possible inside the tech pack, because it's just going to make it more expensive, draw the process out even longer. What would you say are some of the other common mistakes that are made by fashion brands in general?
Oh, okay. I would say, yeah, definitely the timeline is like a big one, like rushing things. I would also say like missing out maybe the importance of the fit stage as well. I see like so many of my clients, they just kind of like get a sample, they try it on themselves, and they're like, yeah, that's fine. But then it actually goes to market and it doesn't fit like a lot of body types, or it doesn't, it doesn't work on maybe a plus size person or something like that. So I would say it's really, really important that you always fit it on a model, on a fit model, and also make sure you fit the whole size range as well, like all of the sizes on different models, to see how it fits and how it works. And also do wear tests. Always do wear tests of your garments, or get someone else to do it for you. If it's a swimsuit, go swimming. If it's a bra, wear it for a day, see how you feel, put it in the wash, because these are things that I see, common mistakes that are made. They miss out these steps because they're trying to rush, and then later down the line they get so many returns because something's not secured properly, or the fabric's ripping, or it sags after you've gone swimming, or whatever it is. Like, it's really important to take these stages really seriously, and really really have attention to detail as well. And that's why this sampling process is so important.
Okay. What I'm getting from it's
Yeah.
like very hands-on approach. You want to see how that idea translates in the real world, and you actually got to get super practical with it.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to think like someone's going to be wearing this and you want to, I think comfort is so important. Like some people are very much like looking for how it looks on the body, but actually like if it's not comfortable, you're not going to wear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if it's not practical. So I would say that, and then maybe other mistakes I see. I think also the financial thing, people not putting aside a budget for this process. Because the thing is, like, you can go on Fiverr and find designers and they can do your tech pack for like $50 or whatever, but you're not going to have that guidance of an expert designer, and maybe the tech aren't going to be up to the standard that you need it to be. So if you do have a very small price point, then maybe, yeah, you should find a designer on Fiverr. But as I said, you might not get that hands-on support that you would get from maybe going with a more expert freelancer.
Yeah. Yeah. I have one question that I think I can only ask you out of a lot of people that I'll speak to over a lifetime, that is relevant for right now. So if you think about the swimwear and the lingerie brands that you think are awesome and that are growing very rapidly, what are some of the trends that you're seeing in terms of their designs and what they're focusing on and what is important to them and their values?
Right now, I think there's a very big focus on sustainability. I think that's definitely, I mean, that's been happening for a few years now, but I see it even more so than ever, and also on inclusivity. So these would be the two things. I think making sure that your design is inclusive to a wide range of body types, and isn't just limited to, you know, that standard size 8 or 10. So these are definitely really important things to consider. As well as comfort. I think people are wearing less maybe wired bras and like structured bras and maybe going more for comfort. So that's also a really big trend that's coming in. And yeah, that's the three ones that I can think of right now.
Maybe do you have anything on colors or materials or any specific, very practical things that you see on the actual garment? Did you
Okay.
see more of, or that you see that is selling really well? Maybe certain designs.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I mean, I find like just working with my clients in terms of colors, even though it's great to always have those like trending colors, they're often the ones that don't sell, or they maybe
Mm,
sell a smaller amount. So I would say when you're building a collection, it's great to have those trending colors. Always stick with having those blacks, those off-whites, those maybe nude tones, because those are the ones that are always going to sell more. I think it's great to have a pop of color as well, and don't miss that out from your collection. But yeah, just remember that the blacks and the off-whites and those nudie tones are going to sell really, really well. And actually, like earthy tones are really selling so well from all of my clients right now. So that might be something to consider.
amazing.
In terms, yeah, in terms of fabrics, I mean, I see a really big theme of like meshes coming in right now. So yeah, like having really like sheer meshes, which are like still supportive and still like figure hugging. Um, and also, I guess in terms of like lingerie, I think embroideries are really big right now for the spring, summer. So like having very feminine, kind of romantic feel. I'm definitely seeing that coming in for lingerie. And yeah, have to have a little think about the rest.
No,
But yeah, those
that
are
is
things.
amazing. That was
Yeah.
exactly what I was hoping to get out of you. So I'm really happy. Um,
Okay.
Interesting. Do you maybe feel, are there any secrets of the trade in fashion design that some of the audience can take away? What are some of like the key nuggets of information that you think, wow, if I tell that to the people, maybe you don't want to share it, they would get
Yeah,
like
that's
amazing designs.
I think doing your customer research is something that people miss
Mm,
out. And something that I see with a lot of my clients is that they always come to me designing for themselves. And I think that can be great, but also it's good to make sure that what you need is what other people need as well. Because I think what often happens is my clients come to me, they find a problem, oh, I can't find a bra that fits me, or yeah, or like, oh, I can't find this in the market, so I'm going to create it, which is really, really great. And I think can definitely work. But I think before you make that decision to just go ahead, make sure that you do that market research, do those surveys, make sure that you're talking to people, make sure you're looking in the market, is there other brands that are out there that are doing this, that are succeeding doing this? Because I think that's a really good sign as well. Um, and yeah, making sure that before you do start the design stage, what do people actually need? What do they want? What are they willing to invest in? So making sure you do that market research is super, super vital.
I love that, and it's funny that I asked for the secrets because people always ask me, and then my answer is always like a very principled thing, and yours as well. And I am very big proponent on putting a lot of the heavy work in the upfront in the customer research. Um,
Definitely.
on that note, is it appropriate to survey your customers about the product after the purchase?
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. And I think being open-minded to the feedback of your clients is so, so important, and something that can be quite difficult sometimes, to be very open to criticism and say, what did you like about it, but also what didn't you like, and what can we improve on? I think that's so, so important, and can really help you for your next collections, because these are the customers that you want them to come back again, right? And you want to know what they want to buy, what do they want to see. And it's not necessarily going to be exactly what you would wear yourself, but you really need to hear them, and yeah, hear their voices, because at the end of the day, you're designing for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I have the exact same thing here. So I often recommend my clients to actually do that, to do surveys, not only for yourself and development, but also because it's a marketing tactic to show that you care. I mean, very wild thing, show that you care and you'll make more money, but it's
Definitely.
super important. But a lot of brands there, they might be feeling like it's weird to ask that, or they don't want to have that criticism at all after they launch. But I think I agree with that, and I think it's super important, even if it was just for your next collection launch, that those people that were asked, they feel that they were heard. Um,
Exactly. That's the
yeah,
thing. People want to feel heard for sure. They want to feel like, yeah, their opinions matter, and yeah, that you care. So I think it's really important.
yeah. Okay, we don't have much time on the clock yet. I want to quickly touch on hiring and working with fashion designers. So maybe touch in general. Um, Imagine I'm running a fashion brand, doing around 100,000 a month. I want to launch more collections, and I want to hire a fashion designer because I don't have one right now. What should I look for? What makes like a good designer, and what should I look out for when hiring one?
Yeah, definitely. Good question. So I always say that, like, you've got to find a designer that fits you well. I don't think every designer is going to fit every client. So it's really important that you get them on a call, have a video call with them, have a chat with them, take some time to explain exactly what you want, what your needs are, what your vision is, and see what the designer's capability is, what their skill set is, what their background is. I would also recommend the going with a designer who's within the niche that you are your company is. So if you're a lingerie brand, try and find a lingerie specialist, a lingerie designer, because that's going to help you so much than going for a generalist who's like a fashion designer. They're going to have less knowledge and less experience just working with lingerie. Whereas if you go for a lingerie designer, they're going to have much more skills and be able to give you much more guidance and specific guidance as well. And they might also have connections. They might know more about the fabrics. They might have factories that they already work with. So that's just going to make it so much easier for you, and also allow you to place more trust into them. So that was definitely important. So I would say in this initial call, share with them share with them inspiration images, make sure you become prepared with maybe showing them your past collections, and give them everything that they need to to give you a really good quotation and a proposal, because that's going to be the next step. So I would say definitely go with a list of questions for them. Ask them about their background, their experience, maybe ask them what they think about your collection and what they see for the future of the collection, if they have any ideas. I think that's always a good way to kind of like test if they're on the same page as you. And also make sure to look at their portfolio. This is something really vital. I think seeing someone's portfolio is kind of like a little taster of what you're going to get from them. So how they work. Do you like their design style? Do you like how it's presented? Do you like the type of products that they're working on? Because at the end of the day, that's probably going to be similar to what they're going to provide for you. So it's really important that you look at their portfolio and also like their portfolio and like their handwriting, like their way of working. And then obviously then it's going to be, you'll be getting a quotation from them. So that will also help you to work out if they're within your budget or whether you can afford it or not. So that's also important to make sure that you're going for someone who is within your budget.
Yeah. I have some questions that I know my audience wants to know as well, especially those that are new to this. I think budget, I asked you in Paris as well, and you have a very simple answer for that. But before I ask you about budget, does location matter, or can a fashion designer be remote?
So I work with brands all over the world. I have brands in the UK, in Canada, in America, within Europe, literally all over the place. And the one thing that can be slightly awkward, maybe at times, is just the time difference. But I've never ever had an issue, and I always make it work. Sometimes I have to work evenings to be able to have a call with them if they're in the US, but I always try and make it possible. And actually, sometimes it can be beneficial, because if I'm working with a brand in America, but our factories in China, is actually pretty helpful for them, because I'm actually closer to the China time zone and I can help with the factory communication and things like that. So we always make it work. And I think it really doesn't matter where they are in the world. I think as long as you have a good relationship with them and you get a good feeling, and you like their way of working, it can definitely work.
Yeah. And what if I, as a founder, want to do the fashion design myself? Would it still be a good idea to hire someone to help me out?
Yeah, I would say if you're wanting to do it more yourself, you might be wanting to look more for a consultant, like a fashion consultant, who can maybe give you that direction and that guidance. I have had clients who really wanted to be more hands-on with the design. But just bear in mind, if you really want to do it yourself, you need to be willing to put in the time to learn and really, make the effort to learn those skills, because it's a long process. And I've been in the fashion industry for like 10 years, and that's why I'm at the point where I am and why I can do it so quickly. If you're doing a tech pack yourself from scratch, there's going to be a lot of things that maybe you're going to struggle with. So I would say definitely get some help with that. And maybe if you wanted to do the designs, maybe you can share the designs with a designer who can then create designs which are more detailed, which are more technically comprehensive. And then you would give the tech packs to do for a designer to do, so that you would make sure that it's really factory ready and there's not going to be any errors. If you're doing it yourself, you might miss out things, you might not use the right terminology, for example.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that's it. I think I got all the questions I want
Great.
to do. I just want to ask, where can people find you if they want to learn more about you, or maybe fashion designers who are looking to become or to do what you do and get more fashion design jobs?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm active on Instagram. So I have a freelance coaching page, which is the Fashion Freelance Coach. And then I also have a design page on Instagram, which is Ella Chisholm Designs. If you want to reach out to me via email, you can contact me at contact at thefashionfreelancecoach.com. And yeah, that's probably the best way to reach out to me.